And vote.
I call this meeting of Central Florida Facilitators Toastmasters Club 9958 to order. Thank you all for being here tonight, and please shut off your cell phones. At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose, and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our thought and pledge leader, Micki, to meet Driscoll.
Yay! Now every field is clothed with grass, and every tree is with leaves. Now the woods put forth their blossoms, and the year assumes its gay attire. Virgin. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I'm going to invite back to the lectern our president, Mr. Baumelier.
I've had a couple exciting days, and so has Tony, by the way. No one else, her mother's in pretty bad shape in the hospital with congestive heart failure. And I spent a couple of nights at the hospital with my wife having chest pains. They can't find out what's wrong with her. The doctors all point towards me. I don't know what that means. I can give anyone a panic attack. Tonight, we're going to induct one of our members that's here, finally, long due, overdue. And for that, please help me welcome Mr. Jonathan Dunn.
Thank you, President Baumelier and Acting Sergeant at Arms. Would you please escort Maureen out of the building, please?
Not the building?
Out of the building? All right, we gotta go. We'll go to a bar.
I like that. I'm coming around you.
Fellow facilitators, do I hear a motion from the floor to, I don't know what I'm
I
supposed to probably
move
say
that
here.
we accept Maureen's membership application and have her be a member of Central Florida Facilitators.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
What do I say now?
Any
All-
discussion?
All in favor for, say yes.
Yes.
All in, well, that was everybody. I can see everybody. Good. Please get Charlie back in here and let's give Maureen a huge clap as she comes up here.
He's locked out. Make sure she goes up front.
Woo! Come here, Maureen. We're sorry for the slight delay in this, but I have to ask you a few questions as our fellow members bear witness. Do you, Maureen, promise to be an active member of this club, to attend meetings regularly, to prepare all of your speeches to the best of your ability, basing them on the projects in the Toastmasters program manuals, prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, provide fellow members with helpful constructive evaluations, to help maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all of our members to learn and grow. A few more here. To serve the club as an officer when called upon to do so. To treat fellow club members and guests with respect and courtesy. to bring guests to club meetings so that they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational and recognition programs, and last, to maintain honest and highly ethical standards during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. Great. Fellow club members, do you promise to support Maureen as she works for the Toastmasters program?
Yes.
Yes.
It's supposed to be I do, people.
I do.
Maureen, as if you didn't know this already, it's our pleasure to declare you officially installed as a member of the Central Court Facilitators 9958 Toastmaster Club. And we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad to be here too.
Good,
And
good.
I'm gonna grow and we all see what happens in the future.
We've already seen it, and we're excited you're here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You must have read my mind.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan.
Yes.
To start our exciting Toastmasters evening, I'd like to present to you our Toastmaster for tonight, none other than Micki, the Trebisco.
We have a tough night ahead of us, but we'll make it through. Why I'm saying that is because Tony was supposed to be the Toastmaster. She couldn't make it. I am replacing her. And we also don't have a timer. I'm going to be the timer also. And we don't have a supervisor of elections. And I was wondering if Maureen can do that. Be both a counter and...
She's on her way.
She's coming?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. This is nothing, okay. And I also want to know if we have any changes with the times for the two speeches. Jonathan, 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
And Sarah, 10 to 14 minutes.
Yes.
Thank you. I am also going to say a few words as part of our educational moment. And what's really painful to me is our membership. We don't have enough members attending the club. And I think we have to do something about it, at least to try to bring one friend. Or this club is too good. We have two good people here to not be a successful club. And the attendance is not that high lately. So I'd like you to put some effort in it and bring people to attend our meetings and eventually to become members of this club. Also, about manuals, we have a few new members. Unfortunately, only Maureen is here today. I want to make sure them and the old members remember to hand out the manuals for evaluations. So in this case, Maureen, I think, can hand out her manual for the counter role that she's covering, and the speakers for their speeches. And I'm sure they've done that already. Also, we, as Charlie mentioned a few weeks ago, we would like to start the ambassador program, like 2 members to visit other clubs and bring ideas and suggestions, and also make our club known. to other clubs in the area. And I was wondering if anyone is planning to visit another club next week, by any chance. I'm going to visit the Oviedo Club, just because Jonathan is going to give a speech there next Thursday, so I will be there. And if anyone is planning to visit another club, please let me know. I'm going to keep track of our visits, and I also have the forms that need to be filled out at the other clubs. Now, I'd like to move on to our functionaries. Our grammarian tonight is Susan Morgan. Susan, if you'd like to tell us a few words about your role tonight.
As grammarian, I have two basic responsibilities. First is to provide a word of the day to my fellow Toastmasters and guests in order to expand our vocabulary. I have chosen the word of the day, which is frolic, which means merry, play, merriment, gaiety, or fun. It can also be an adjective, merry and full of fun, and a verb, to play in a frisky, light-spirited manner or to romp. And I put for a sentence, Toastmasters frolic at their weekly meetings. Those who do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and use of exceptional vocabulary and grammar, and I will listen for suggestions in grammar as needed. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And as I'm going to be your timer tonight, I'm going to say a few words about my role. One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I'm responsible for monitoring time for each speaker in each meeting segment. I'll operate a timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. Our prepared speeches, to qualify for voting, speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under their range minimum and not more than 30 seconds over their range maximum. I will turn on the green light at range minimum, the yellow light at mid-range, and the red light at maximum range. For table topic speaker to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute and no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. For evaluators, they must speak a minimum of 1 minute and 30 seconds and a maximum of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you, and now we move to our Wizard of Oz, Maureen Martin.
In order to improve the quality of our speech, the accountant's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible crutches such as and you know, and double crutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words such as and, so, or like. I will sound a buzzer when I hear any of these infractions. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for this infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or buzzed, but I will keep track of their infractions. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. I usually pay $1 every meeting because I know performance. Now, the supervisor of elections tonight is Cece Ward.
As a vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our first speaker tonight is working on his basic communication manual. I don't know if it's the third or the fourth time that he's covering this.
17, actually.
17. The project is number 6, vocal variety, title, Who Rescued Whom? And a few words about our speaker. Go out and get what you want. The path to happiness once went straight through this statement that society has so carefully crafted. Living, our next speaker heavily engaged in shenanigans. Every year, when the spring blossoms arrive and spring break came, heavy shenanigans, encounters that led to emptiness, regret, loneliness, and an adverse effect on his self-esteem, and leading as far away from happiness as one could get, until he was rescued. And he found happiness in an unlikely source. Please welcome Advanced Communicator Gold, Jonathan Dunn.
If you had told me a few years back, hey John, you're going to discover your life's purpose from a dog, I would have told you that you are cuckoo, cuckoo. However, I was sitting on my back porch in the summer of 2012, sipping on my favorite dark brew, and I was contemplating. Why does it always seem like there is something missing? And as I took a sip of coffee, I watched a deer frolic across my backyard. And it brought me back to a place when I was a child and always happy, always carefree, and how I always happened to have a dog. And a light bulb went off in my head at that very moment, and I said, that's what's missing. I am missing a dog. And I made the decision right then and right there that I was going to rescue and have a man's best friend. Fast forward to the very next morning, I'm inside the home of a doggy foster mom. Her name was Susan. She was a relocated hairstylist from New York City, and she was giving me instructions. Mr. Dunn, have a seat right here on this couch, and I want you to hold your hand out, and we're going to play a little game of doggy discernment and see if you and Cece would be a nice fit. I sat there, and what happened next changed my life forever. Cece was one. And she didn't frolic into the room like a normal one-year-old pup would. She came in crawling. Paws and knees. Her tail was down. Her ears were down. And she was shaking from head to tail. And she came up to my hand that day. She didn't come up to my hand to sniff it. She came up to see if I was going to slap her across the face like her previous owner had in his attempts to beat her into submission. And if that wasn't bad enough, what happened next ripped my heart out. Cece shook, and she rolled over on her backside, and she had an accident all over herself. Tears were streaming down my face. And this is what Susan needed to see. From across the room, she said, Mr. Dunn, I can see you're a very sensitive man. I'm going to allow you to rescue Cece on one condition, and one condition only. you've got to give me a promise that no matter how she behaves, all you can do is give her love. I said, sign me up. By the way, Mr. Dunn, Cece comes with a purse that you're going to have to carry her around in. She feels safe in her purse. Cece and I began our lives together, and it was incredible. Took her to the pet store, got her this awesome bed, got her the best treats, took her to the groomer. I even talked all sweet and silly to her at the pet store, which elicited a few strange gawks as I'm kind of a larger man. But I didn't care. Giving Cece love was amazing. For once in my life, when I gave her love, I was able to get out of my own head and rid me of myself. And this was what I had been looking for. And here's what Cece gave me in return. She'd shake. She'd roll over on her back. And she'd have accidents on herself. Cece was blind to all the love that I was trying to give her. She was blinded by all the pain she had had in her life. But this was okay with me, because I was going to keep pouring it on her. Right up until the noise in my own head got so loud, I didn't think I could do it anymore. In the background of all of this, I had been helping someone I cared about very deeply fight a battle with substance abuse. And it was a battle that ultimately was lost, leaving me on most mornings aching from head to toe, wondering if I could even get out of bed, making it really hard to do what I had promised. And everything came to a head on my 40th birthday. I woke up that morning not in a joyous spirit, but hurting like I had never hurt before. And by this time, I had been displaced from my home, and I was living in an apartment with Cece that I would have to sneak her in and out of, in her purse. And I went to gather her up that morning, and she must have sensed how bad I hurt inside. And she had not one, but 2 accidents on herself that morning. And I wanted to pull my hair out. I knew I could not go on any longer. I made the decision that when I got to work that morning, I was going to call Susan and tell her I'm done. Except I heard her voice. Mr. Dunn, you've got to give me your promise. All you can do is give her love. And I wanted to keep my promise. And I knew that if I condemned Cece back to Susan, there would probably never be a remedy for her life. So I made the decision that when I got to work that morning, I was going to give her as much love as I could, hopefully as a Band-Aid, to get out of my own head for just a few hours, go home and regroup. Except, something amazing happened. When I got to work that morning, my plan failed, so I thought. Because when I got there, I collapsed on the ground, crying my eyes out. When I say crying, I was wailing, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm looking at Cece in her purse, and she's looking at me, and I'm crawling over there, and it was like a marathon even though it was only a few feet away, and I unzipped her purse, and she jumped out of there, and Cece had finally become complete herself. Cece had purpose in her life, and at that very moment it was to give me love. And she did in the form of kisses. Her tail was wagging. She was shaking, but shaking in joy. And her love was so powerful, it lifted me up off the ground so high I could have stood on a mountaintop. I knew right then and right there I was going to be okay, finally. It made me beg the question, who rescued whom? In the immortal words of Susan, all you can do is give love. Fellow Toastmasters, most honored guests, all you can do is give love. Life is about love. Madam Toastmaster.
If you want to know why I drink tonight, it's because I'm a timer without the timing machine, counting the time. Do you know where that device is?
I'll give you mine.
I had to improvise, yes.
On my speech, can you break them into 3 sections on the clock?
Yes.
So I can gain.
Yeah, that's why I need like the real thing instead of my
I'll set it up for you.
my cell phone.
What do you mean? This one will tell you exactly what time.
Okay.
Clock in your phone's better.
Not on my phone. I'm still confused on how to use it.
Use the sun.
Okay. Our next speaker tonight will deliver a 45 minutes speech about the process of diffusing verbal criticism. Following this talk, there will be a role play for 3 to 5 minutes with one of our fellow Toastmasters demonstrating the skills that were discussed. And here we would like a volunteer for this role play.
Mark will be volunteering.
Mark, thank you. So Mark has volunteered to role play with our speaker and will be verbally criticizing them. This role play has not been rehearsed. For everyone else in the audience, please pay careful attention to the role play as they will be 2 to 3 minutes informal discussion regarding the effectiveness of diffusing the criticism. So let's begin by giving a warm welcome to our speaker tonight, Sarah Hunt.
You ever heard comments like this? How did you get me into this mess? Or, I could not believe you forgot my birthday. Do you really care about me? I have. I'm thinking, did you really say that? We've all experienced some harsh criticism, and how we respond will result in either a good outcome or a bad outcome. I have a few minutes to share with you how to diffuse verbal criticism, because that sting can hurt. There are 4 ways I have to share. 3 of them are not good, they're not effective, but I share them with you because I know I have made these mistakes, and to be aware, if you are doing this, it may not help. And then the 4th way is the most effective, and then there's 5 steps. So the first way is to completely withdraw. You're silent, you don't respond when you have criticism. Or you may walk out the room. The criticism and argument may not escalate, however, you don't solve anything, and you could lose respect. A second way to respond is by rationalizing. This is where we explain why we did what we did. And another word for that is excuses. We tell stories, and the person criticizing doesn't want to hear that. The third way we respond to verbal criticism is by counter-attacking. This is where we divert negative criticism back to the criticizer. For example, I don't communicate well, you don't ever communicate well to me, no one ever tells me that I don't communicate well, and you go on, you spin out of control. And it will escalate. The 4th way, is to respond non-defensively. When you do this, you're calm, you're not reacting, and there's 5 steps I'm going to go through of how we do this, and I'll follow that up with a role play. So the first step is to listen. Here we have an open mind. We're trying to find out the feelings, what's behind these comments. Is it really because I forgot my spouse's anniversary? Or is there more to it? Did I forget maybe to do more around the house? Or there's some other things that may be going on. I can do that if I listen. The second way to respond non-defensively is to acknowledge the person. You do not have to agree with the content or even the interpretation. However, that person deserves to be listened to, and credit them for bringing this up and your sincerity on how you do that. So if my response would be, you sound upset because I forgot your birthday, it comes very differently than, I sense you're upset because I forgot your birthday. It can be a tonality that will go sour. And that person needs to hear the sincerity when you express that. The third way, or step, would be to ask questions. Here we act like an investigator, digging a little bit. You know, I forgot your birthday. I may have forgotten some other things too, Julian. Could you help me? Maybe there's some more things that you can share with me. Trying to find out if there's more things. Fourth, we paraphrase. Here we're summarizing. We're giving back information to make sure that we're understood, or I've understood what this criticizer is saying. So we summarize, I forgot your birthday, I forgot to pay my Toastmaster dues, and I believe I forgot to send the minutes out, the meeting minutes. Is that correct? And then you get, yes, that is correct. You get confirmation that you understood well. And then the fourth is the fifth, would be to agree. Agree with facts. Yes, you know, I was late. I've been home late and you had some special plans and I did not make those. I'm sorry. You don't have to agree again with the interpretation. You're late and you don't care about me. You know, I do care about you. I was late. And then you're at a point where you can start to repair the situation, find solutions, and really talk. So those 5 steps are key. We listen, we acknowledge, we ask questions, we paraphrase, and we agree with the facts. At this time, I'm going to do a role play. It is unrehearsed. I picked a scenario. I have no idea what Mark has concocted. We're picking the workplace. We work together, pretend we're working together, and we're co-workers assigned to a project. And I have not been pulling my weight. There's something that Mark is very upset with me. I'm not sure what it is. And so you're looking for those steps to see how this escalates, or I'm able to de-escalate the situation. So thank you, Mark, if you can come up. And I'm just going to be typing away. I'm cranking out work.
Don't thank me yet.
Super hard worker, so.
I'm actually upset with you over a few things.
Oh, hey, Mark. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, Sarah. I need to get something off my chest
Yeah.
about some of
great.
the projects we've been working on.
Sure.
I think we've worked on maybe 3 or 4 projects together, and I've noticed something. I've noticed that every time we get kudos for a job or a project well done, all you say is thank you. And when we get in trouble because the project doesn't finish on time, your response is usually something like, well, that wasn't my task, that was Lockery's task. They worked on it. It seems like every time we get praise, you take the recognition. But every time we get blame, you don't want to share the responsibility. And I'm starting to feel like you're a glory hound and you don't know how to be a team player. And I'm almost to the point where I'm going to go complain to upper management because I don't want to be on any more projects with you. Please diffuse me.
You sound frustrated. I feel that frustration. So there's been 3 projects where you can remember. And I've been taking credit when we've done well. And then when we haven't, is it correct that I've been not being responsible, but then trying to look for why we didn't, placing blame on me? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Thinking back, we have done some really good work. I can tell you have been equally, your contribution has been as much as mine, and sometimes more. So I can certainly acknowledge that. And we need to work better, I believe, when it comes to the areas where we do not we fall short. And that's both of we have to look and see what we're doing together. I would love to look at some solutions as to how we can do better with troubleshooting areas that we're not performing. And I'll commit to definitely equally taking credit. I know I don't do all the work. say I have said thank you a few times. I do think I should apologize to you. In fact, I think I'm gonna take you to lunch. You think lunch would be good?
Oh, lunch would be awesome.
And then we can maybe discuss some of the ways. I don't have time right now. Really caught me off guard, but I think I like to think about some of the ways and reflect more before I shoot out solutions. I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention.
No problem. Thanks for your time, and I'll go make reservations.
I have 1 or 2 minutes that I would like feedback from any of you, including Mark. That was a very short scenario, but what you thought about that, and did you see any of those steps? Did I listen? Did I acknowledge? Did I ask questions? Did I paraphrase? Did I accept any of the facts? Any feedback for me? I only have a minute or 2. Yes, Julian?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've heard and I've seen is you apologize immediately, but for them feeling that way. Say, gee, I'm sorry you feel that way. And then ask them, maybe when did I do that? I have to do this with my wife so often. I'm almost an expert at this stuff.
I definitely think I could have asked questions. That was one of the steps. I may not have prodded examples of some of the things that I did take credit or areas we fell short. Yes?
Well, you could, in saying that, you almost said what I was going to say about you could ask them, how can I better this situation with you? What can we do, or what can I do the next time this happens?
Right.
To rectify the situation.
People like to receive criticism differently.
Right.
Mark may not have the same ideas as I do. A thank you might not be what Mark was looking for. So, very good. Any other comments? Yes.
Yeah, I was also wondering if you or Mark can go back and pull out, I don't know how far back that those projects took place, but bring them up and maybe acknowledge and Cece or supervisor, whomever, that, just want to bring it to your attention that Mark and I are both working there. I just want to thank Mark for doing that as well. So
There's an immediate solution to satisfy some of the lack
so
of
that might be an
appreciation.
immediate,
I
satisfaction.
wasn't as quick thinking as that. It's good. Well, I appreciate all those comments. And at this time, I'd like to conclude this speech. Madam Toastmaster.
Mark was a sniper in the Marines.
I don't think so.
Be careful.
Now, I would like us to have a minute for writing comments for both our speeches, because I forgot to mention it after Jonathan's speech. So it may be like a minute and a half, if you can do that. Do you have any comments for our speakers tonight? Okay, it's been a minute. If you need more time, please let me know. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, I'm going to read the timers report. Jonathan Dunn, required time 5 to 7 minutes. He spoke for 7 minutes and 10 seconds. He qualified. Sarah, she had 3 required times, 4 to 5 minutes for the speech. She spoke for 5 minutes and 23 seconds. 3 to 5 minutes for the discussion, the role play. She spoke for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I mean, it lasted 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It is a yes. And the conclusion, 2 to 3 minutes, 1 minute and 47 seconds. She qualified. So both speakers qualified tonight. If you could speak for vote for the best speaker. Thank you. And Cece will walk around and collect the ballots and your comments.
Nothing but the best.
Does Mark Lockery, is he part of the speakers that we vote on?
Yes.
You can comment on me, and I'll try not to let it get out of hand and apply the principles that Sarah had mentioned earlier.
And meanwhile, we'll move on to our next segment of the meeting, table topics. Our table topics master tonight is Julian Cotto. Julian has been a member of Central Florida Facilitators for 4 years. During this time, he has content shenanigans. Just for you, just for tonight. Please help me welcome Advanced Communicator Silver, Julian Cotto, and his shenanigans. Please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, and no welcome guest, actually, which is not a good thing. We need to start welcoming some guests. I'm getting tired of looking at the same old mugs Wednesday after Wednesday.
Okay, I won't come next week.
Me neither.
Wear a wig.
I'm going to be frolicking.
Frolicking, yes. Well, this evening is going to be an evening of frolic. And we are going to be presenting some topics around springtime. Springtime, the time of the birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees. And I remember spring break in Fort Lauderdale, Susan Morgan.
Spring break in Fort Lauderdale. Oh, I wish I had gone there. But no, I never went there for spring break. And I don't even know, have I been to anywhere for spring break? I never went partying or anything like that. We would usually go on a vacation, go on a camping trip, and that would be our spring break. And this one just caught me by surprise, Julian. So I think I'm done.
You know, spring is the time of April showers. I'm singing in the rain, Cece Ward. Tell us about that singing in the rain.
Singing in the rain, when I hear of this phrase, it reminds me of it raining or sprinkling, and while it's daylight, the flowers are blooming, pretty gardenias are frolicking outside in the garden. And while, we were walking down the aisle of the garden, and it feels great because, the temperature is beautiful. It's about 70, 80 degrees, and the sun is out shining, the flowers are blooming, and butterflies are all over the garden, and it just makes you feel really good about life in general, and that makes me happy knowing that I'm healthy, walking down, and it's raining. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. I'm just lost for words.
Oh, spring, it's so fresh and clear. You're a bumblebee.
Don't
What
look at
kind
me.
of flower do you like to go for? Mr. Charlie?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. The kind of flowers I like to go with are those that never, ever need water and never die. Because unlike my mother, I do not have a green thumb. I can actually touch this and make it die. And this is fake. Switching on you a little bit, since Susan had a little bit of problem with spring break, I want to emphasize to you that when I lived in Fort Lauderdale, I worked for a beer company. And I was lucky enough to be in charge for the Miller Company of spring break in Fort Lauderdale. I really could write a book on things I have seen. Just unmentionables. But I have seen some incredible sights. We used to go to hotels to actually even do private parties for college kids that would rent out a small bar area, and we give out t-shirts and hats, but everything came at a price. The girls never got t-shirts unless they exhibited something. They had to work for it. The greatest part was when they put 2 or 3 colleges together, and that's when it got out of hand, because the big theme there was no skin, no win. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Go fly a kite, Maureen.
Go fly a kite. What is that? Coming from the West Indies, which I always like to talk about, because it's beautiful, I can think of days when, as a child, we used to make our own kites, and it was really fun. And it was so funny that we used to have those strings and the little, I would call them bone, like stuff they use for bow and arrow. We used to, make our kites with. And the paper, I remember, we used to get the most prettiest colors to fly our kites with. And we were like the boys, girls and boys, we used to do the same thing. Especially on Sunday evenings or afternoon, we used to go in the park, and everybody, it was like a big contest to make the biggest and the prettiest kite. So that would, I would think of flying a kite. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Oh, what a beautiful afternoon. Just go take a hike, Micki.
Don't say goodbye.
I miss mountains. Not necessarily in the springtime, but in the summertime. I used to climb the mountains to enjoy the fresh air, to enjoy the greenery of the woods. to avoid the snakes, because there are snakes there too in Romania. There are vipers there. We don't like to play snakes here, but only in the mountains. I used to spend my vacations there every year in the mountains and get back to my city relaxed and ready for another year of work. I didn't enjoy seaside that much just because I guess the heat and the noise got me really tired. But I really enjoyed mountains, and I really enjoyed the exercise of walking, climbing the mountains. Thank you.
You were caught blowing bubbles, Mark Lockery.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I'm glad you clarified that, because Jonathan was getting a little excited over there. So, we'll put that to bed right now.
That is horrible.
I used to love blowing bubbles when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, I would run around all summer long in my bare feet out in our yard, which is something that we can't do nowadays, unfortunately, without Child Protective Services getting called. But we would be out there every day, and my mom would always tell me, "You're gonna get stung by a bee. You're gonna get stung by a bee." And I would say, "No, Mom, no, I'm not, no, I'm not." 3 months straight, every day, running around with bare feet, not one bee sting. Then in September, we went to go visit my sister, who was living with her dad a few states away. We went to a Holiday Inn, and I swear to God, we walked into the Holiday Inn on the carpeted room, and I stepped on a bee and got stung. So 3 months in the summertime, blowing bubbles, not a problem. Holiday Inn, I got injured. Thank you, Mr. Tabletop.
What is springing forward to you, Stephen Morgan?
Mr. Table Topics Master, spring forward is the point at which I lose sleep. And so I don't really remember so much what it is it may mean. I just know that someone decided that we're going to throw everyone off for some particularly sadistic reason. But when you went to sing it in the rain, I know what leaped up to my mind, because in actuality it goes straight to a song I had written. It was as a result of a breakup that was a very painful one, because at 20 years old they're all painful, are they not? But the best, and the best way to end up getting that out is to be able to express it. So I ended up writing one, and the words, the lyrics, putting it at the piano, and be able to play that. The sad part about that is that because of that, it ended up being such a memorable and powerful song, because all the emotion that got poured into it. Therefore, I can't forget the darn thing. But it did have its benefits later when I ended up meeting Susan and doing it, just sitting down at the piano in the hotel lobby there to play and sing it, which impressed her well enough at least, that she's still hanging around. And the thing that makes me think about it is it's because of the song itself is about singing in the rain. Called Let the Clouds Roll In, and at the part of the chorus it's let the thunder roll, let the I'm used to singing it rather than saying it. Sing it. Let the thunder roar, let the lightning burn, let the skies cry out in pain. Carry to her the sounds of a world dying as I stand here alone in the rain. Mr. Dale, thank you.
All right, now I will conclude my stint, my frolic, and please give me the content report, Madam Tyler. I'm not giving this up.
Susan spoke about spring break in Fort Lauderdale, 52 seconds, she didn't qualify. Cece Ward, Singing in the Rain, 1 minute, she qualified. Charlie, his favorite spring flowers,
1 minute and 45 seconds. He qualified. Maureen about her kites when she was a kid, 1 minute, she qualified. I spoke about hiking, on a beautiful spring day, 1 minute and 15 seconds, I qualified. Mark, his bad experience with bees, 1 minute, he qualified. Stephen, what spring forward means to him, 1 minute and 46 seconds, he qualified. So we have Cece, Charlie, Maureen, Micki, Mark, and Stephen.
All
That
right,
qualified.
thank you. Please vote for one of the contestants that qualified. And the vote counter will come and pick up your votes, and I will introduce back to the lectern our Toastmaster.
Thank you. Phew. We are done with table topics. Thank God. Our next segment tonight is the evaluations. And at this point in our meeting, I would like to bring someone to the lectern who inspires us all. His ancestors hail from Scotland and Ireland, and although shenanigans might not be Irish in origins, it sounds Irish enough for Mark to embrace it and partake in it. He grew up leading a life of mischief, pranks, and skullduggery.
Close enough.
Thank you. In 6th grade, he was scolded when he used his Irish accent to tell his English teacher she had a lovely sack of
Potatoes.
potatoes. Or her.
Potatoes.
As for his Scottish heritage, well, Mark still has not worn his kilt in public, something we all which should be thankful for. Please welcome our General Evaluator tonight, Mark Lackery.
Thank you, Micki. There's no guest here, so we pretty much all know what the General Evaluator does. This is the section of the meeting where we not only give constructive feedback to our prepared speeches, but also we make some suggestions and some comments about how the meeting in general has run. We're going to go into the speech evaluations at this time. To evaluate Jonathan Dunn is a Toastmaster 6 years in the making. He enjoys doing evaluations because by helping others, he grows as a person and tunes his Toastmaster skills. Please help me welcome Charlie Bumbley.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and my friend Jonathan. Who rescues who? Your objective tonight was vocal writing, and you did an excellent job of that. You actually used very different tones up and down on a regular basis, which is excellent. One of the things that I liked, since this is something that you're using in your contest, is the fact that when you came up here, you paused just long enough not only to let the Toastmaster sit, but also to catch everyone's attention. And that's really an important part. It was a nice opening that you had. And also, it was good usage of the word frolic, which was the word of the day. Since this is something that you're really working towards for your international speech contest, I'm going to bring out some things, and it's just my thoughts on how you may be able to just put a little more spice on your speech. There was a time, this is really including pause, when you said, Cece was blind. You went right on to the next thing. If you paused, you're going to make people think she was a blind dog. But you went through it so fast that it erased it, but that would catch people's attention. I didn't think I could do it anymore. Pause. These are little things that you went on very fast into the next line. To give me love, you need to pause. And the part where it says, life is about love. Pause. Pause like 5 seconds. I learned this from Stephen Morgan in doing pauses. It seems like an eternity when you're up here and you pause for 5 seconds, but it gives people the time to grasp what you just said. Having said that, and of course, knowing that you're using the speech, I think the three strongest part of your speech that judges look for are sincerity in your speech, voice variety, which you did excellent, and passion, which you showed. It was a great speech. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Charlie. Let us continue to frolic in the fields of praise and criticism. Stephen suffered plenty of verbal criticism growing up. Now he attends Toastmasters to get even more. Here to present more evaluation shenanigans, please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator and fellow Toastmasters. What you've seen today is one of the projects you don't see very often, one of the role plays. This comes only in the advanced manuals, but they follow this same pattern each time. The idea is to get up, present essentially the process that is supposed to be explained and demonstrated, and it's actually spelled out in the manual. Then you put together the role play, which is you have somebody else come up and be the partner in the role play. You only get yourself set up for the basic scenario, and then you're ad-libbing the whole rest of the time, but supposedly demonstrating the process that you described. And then at the end, there's supposed to be the question and answer session. How well did I do it, and what things might I have done better? For the evaluator, this gets kind of confusing because you've already gotten your feedback in the question and answer session. But for you, Sarah, you did a perfect job in presenting the technical structure of this project, in that you took the process straight out of the manual. You almost were doing it word for word, as I'm looking in the project on the manual, the actual descriptions of each of the steps and the 4 types as well. Mark did an excellent job helping you into demonstrating it. You guys set up a good scenario which helped demonstrate the process. You already know the parts that you skip by, is particularly the asking of the questions, which would have added more to the time that, as you indicated, it came up a bit short. So I don't have anything more to add in that particular aspect. In terms of the presentation of the project and the stance that you presented up here, all I can do is get into more of the really more picky technical aspects. Or one thing I felt since you were standing here the whole time, I felt lopsided. At least the stage felt lopsided to me. Although I actually had a much better view of you. The vocal variety stayed fairly monotone, which is actually your standard. Where I could say you could certainly add a whole lot more, although when you're just giving information, it's kind of hard to get into it. You could certainly have an opportunity to do more in the role play, since the concept here is a lot of emotions are supposed to be going back and forth, and you're trying to pull that down, so there might be that opportunity to show a bit more of it. The question and answer session was supposed to be about 2 to 3 minutes, and this is the hard part, because if nobody says anything, then you're standing there kind of going, well, anyone? Julian thankfully coming in and asking a few of those points, and everyone else that was willing to pipe in after that. You did offer some information that kind of prompted people to be able to say more. Specifically, it's you were criticizing yourself, which helps to get more people willing to say, well, okay, you could add my own 2 cents in as well. That part you did very well, and that's where I could say you've clearly got a good idea of how you're doing this, and you've got another one yet to do within this manual. This is the Interpersonal Communication Manual. So the idea is we should at least be learning these skills so that when we're talking one-on-one in those situations, how to deal with people in those conditions. And hopefully, my criticism isn't leading you to trying to diffuse any more situations here today. You had fun frolicking with Mark, and I hope we all enjoyed it as well. Mr. General.
Yes, we had a gay old time up here. Mrs. Timer, we've had 2 evaluators this evening. Can you please give us the timer's report for evaluators?
Charlie spoke for 3 minutes and 13 seconds. He qualifies. Stephen Morgan spoke for 3 minutes and 16 seconds. He qualifies.
Turn the light off. You guys can please vote for best evaluator. And do we do most improved at this time also? If you want to cast your vote, sure, go ahead. I have a couple notes about the meeting in general. As Micki said, it's going to be a tough night, but we'll make it through, and we are making it through. The room was set up on time, and the meeting started on time. We also had quite a few changes to the agenda, which Micki announced at the beginning of the meeting, so we could all make appropriate changes. One thing I do want to point out is we have really awesome looking agendas. I don't know if any of you have ever visited other clubs. I've gone to a few, and I'm not being biased here when I say that Central Florida Facilitators goes above and beyond what I've seen a lot of other clubs do when it comes to preparing meetings and getting the most value for the time that we spend together. So I really enjoyed that. A couple other things I noticed. Jonathan, when you came up, you paused. And Charlie mentioned it also. I noticed you glanced over to the corner of your eye and you saw Micki wasn't quite prepared with the timing device. And you gave an extra couple seconds for her to get ready. Good looking out there. That's good perception. Micki, you don't have to keep hiding the timing device to justify your drinking, okay? It's okay to say that you like to drink it. This week it's the timing device. Last week it was because the lights were gone. No, I'm just kidding. We had a couple technical difficulties with the timing device. Charlie came over and lended some assistance. That was really nice. Charlie, just a couple recommendations. Let's try to keep the traffic in front of the lectern to a minimum when people are up here. So let's use the outside of the room and the back of the room. That would really be appreciated. Overall, that's what I had, a couple recommendations for that. The meeting, I think, went overall well. Do we have the next week's agenda or task assignments? It's over there.
No.
You guys could put your names in there and pass it around.
I've already gotten it.
Okay, and if Cece, I don't know if everyone's ready with their votes for the...
You still got functionary reports too.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We'll get the functionary reports now. We'll start with Cece since she's up.
No, she's...
Okay, just keep moving, Cece. How about a grammarian this evening, Susan Moore?
Okay, I caught a lot of colorful imagery tonight. Charlie, doctors all point to me. I could touch this thing and it would die, and it's fake. No skin, no wind. And Micki, you said we have a tough night to get through. John, rid me of myself. I liked that. Mark, I'll go make reservations. Julian, the same mugs. I thought that was a colorful image there. I was catching myself. And Stephen, you were talking about the sadistic reason for fast forwarding the time. And let's see, the word of the day, John said it 3 times, Mark said it once, Julian said it twice, Cece said it, and Stephen said it.
I said it.
You said it, Charlie? Sorry, I missed that. And Charlie said it. Mr. General Evaluator.
Maureen, how did we do with the all counting?
Of course, I couldn't check myself, but I heard myself saying some of those words, so I get a pass. But Micki D has a total of 3. There were 2 crutch words and 1 bridge word. Charlie B, you had a total of 2, and those were bridge words. I think you said it so. John, you had a total of 2. Those are bridge words. Sarah had 3 bridge words total. Mark Lockery, 2. There's 1 crutch word and 1 bridge word. Julian had 1 crutch word. Cece, 3. There were 2 crutch words, 1 bridge word. Susan, total of 5.
Okay.
You like that? So you had 2 of those and 3 bridge words. Stephen, you had 3 bridge words. And that concludes my total. Thank you, Mr.
It's like we're in the hospital with all these crutches. At this time, I would like to call to the lectern our president, Mr. Charlie Bumbleweir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to ask someone in here if they would like to accompany me or me accompany them to go to another Toastmasters club. Jonathan, I believe you mentioned you're going Thursday evening?
Well, yes. Yes, sir.
I would like to go with you. We could, you know, I'll call you and set up a time and place that we can meet. Because I really want to start doing the ambassador deal, and I'd like to go with anyone here that would like to go to a different club and make a speech or just be there and get credit for our club. Cece, have you got the awards ready?
Coming short.
Okay.
The schedule.
Is there any business that anyone has to bring up?
Schedule?
We can see what we're missing for next week.
Well, the contest.
Who has the sheet for
Is the
next week?
contest Saturday?
No, April 19th.
Oh,
April 19th.
but he's coming.
April 19th.
Here's me.
Does anyone like to do a thought and pledge for next week?
I'll do it.
Jonathan, okay. An educational moment, are you going to do an educational next week? We need one more speaker, we have 2 speakers.
I may have a speaker from another club.
You break the time. You decide what you think, you're the tiebreaker.
Okay.
Just put a name there. You don't have to tell them, just write it in there. You can sit here and do it.
She'll get it.
We should assign a third evaluator.
Yes. I may have a speaker from another club next week.
Oh, really? Okay.
We just need another evaluator.
Okay. We have Stephen, Micki, and we need one more evaluator. Jonathan?
You are paper topics.
Oh, you want to be, you can be an evaluator also.
Yeah, he'll have no time to prepare.
Okay. Grammarian, we need a grammarian. I guess Julie, you won't be here next week? Okay.
I don't think
Thank
so.
you.
I'll send an email tonight.
I'm sorry?
I'll send out an email tonight.
Okay, we got most of them filled already. We just need the timer for Marion. Thank you.
I think for next week, Thursday.
Guess it'll be April Fool's Day.
Oh, yeah. that'd be good. Okay. For the awards tonight. Too much frolic going on here. The Tim Chastain Award goes to a person that really went out of their way to pitch in at the last second, and that goes to Micki. Am I getting close to it? Most Improved Award goes to Cece Ward.
That's not the tie you broke, right?
No. That's a good one.
It was between her and Maureen.
Best Table Topics Award, Mark Buck.
That's good. I like that, what you wrote on there. That's perfect. I've been searching for that. Some innocent accident.
Best Evaluator Award, Charlie B. And last but not least, Best Speaker Award, Sarah Hunt. Last minute business. Meeting adjourned. Oh, we did it early tonight.
Yeah, this is good.